Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Clay's Couch here. I'm your host, Clay D, the one and only, coming at you the best way that I know how. And I'm glad and enjoyed and privileged tonight to have a special guest of mine, another great journalist on our row here. And I'm pleased to announce and welcome Miss Cynthia Hill to the virtual couch tonight. Good evening, Cynthia. How are you doing?
Good evening. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yes, definitely, Cynthia. So just to kind of get to know you some more and all, why don't you just tell everyone just about yourself? Who is Miss Cynthia Hill, and just kind of just give us a white paper on you.
Okay, awesome. I am a journalist, of course. I've been doing it for about 6 years. It's a passion of mine, and I have been able to travel across the country and deliver the news, gather news for thousands of people, I guess I would say. My career has spanned from the Midwest to the East Coast. I haven't been down south yet, but hopefully
Oh,
that's coming soon.
okay.
And or the West Coast. Those are some great places that I'd like to eventually move into those markets. But I am just an all around girl. I love all kinds of things, music and theater. So those are kind of my pastimes. But yeah, professionally, I'm a journalist.
That's good. That's good. Appreciate you. Appreciate that. And Cynthia, have you always have done journalism? You mentioned 6 years, but did you do something prior to that, or did you do journalism right out of college? Because I did see that you went to school over at Penn State and such. So, journalism, has that always been a passion of yours, or did it kind of just grow on you along the way?
Yes, it's always been a passion of mine. Been doing it for six, maybe 7 years, and before that, tons of internships. So, yes, it's pretty much all I've done. Right out of school, I got straight to it. But before that, I was working at a museum in Pittsburgh, an African American museum, before I graduated. So I spent some time there as well, and that was fun too. I love art and the arts.
Gotcha. So, where are you from originally? I mean, it sounds like you spent a lot of time in Pennsylvania. Were you born in PA at all, or where are you from originally?
Yes, I was born and partially raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I mentioned Pittsburgh, where that museum was, and that's the connection there. I grew up, though, and was raised mostly in Columbus, Ohio, and I love it there. That's a second home, if not my first home. I spent about age 7 to high school there. So, in between those two places, I would call my home.
Oh, okay. Well, I was born in New York myself, and I grew up in New Jersey, so not too far away from you, but geographically
Okay.
speaking, and all that. I currently am in North Raleigh, Durham area, in North Carolina now, but where is home for you right now, Cynthia? Like, where are you currently located, if you don't mind?
Currently, I'm in Maryland,
Okay.
still near Ocean City.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I've spent about a year and a half here. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, good weather. The beach is right down the street, so it's
Okay.
nice.
So you live in Ocean City, Maryland.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
I've been there a
wow.
few times. It's a great city.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I used to go to Ocean City a lot when I was a kid growing up in New Jersey, so certainly have a lot of familiarity with it. I haven't been, honestly, since 1999. No, yeah,
Okay.
I'm a little older than I probably look, but yes, for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah, Ocean City definitely brings back a lot of good memories. Well, it's one of my childhood beaches for sure. But I'm 34 now. Just for full disclosure on that. But
Okay.
yeah, cool. So just in general, I've done a lot of research into you in advance of this, obviously, even when it just came to looking for great guests for this show and all of that. But it seems as though that you even have worked in places such as North Dakota. Is that correct?
Yes.
What was
Yes, I did.
I gotta ask you, what was it like being black in North Dakota? I just have to ask
Oh,
that.
being black in North Dakota.
Oh
Oh my
yes.
gosh. Definitely, you are definitely the minority. Um, there's not a lot of cultural things to do there, but I needed to experience another part of the country, and that was it. I was able to report on the pipeline protests there
Right, right.
in
Mhm.
um, in Standing Rock, and was really in the mix of all of that. And so it made for a good time there for me as a journalist. But as just a person, it was a little difficult. I spent my first couple of months there in a
Mhm.
small town called Williston, North Dakota, and that is
Mm.
where most of the oil industry is in North Dakota. And there was very hard
Wow,
just to connect with people, but I found some friends. So uh,
that's good.
you just have to be open. You have to, people are people, and you just have to remind yourself of that. You're not going to get what you get in the city in a place like North Dakota.
Oh, okay, okay. So how long were you working in the North Dakota?
I was in North
Exactly.
Dakota for a year and a couple of months, or about a year. I'm sorry, about a year.
Oh, okay.
So not
And
long.
I got you. So you were in a town called Williston. Now, that is, if you can just kind of, is that in the northern part, southern part, or is it more central?
Williston is northern, if I'm not mistaken, north of Bismarck. Bismarck is more central,
I got you.
and yeah,
Oh, okay,
I can't
okay.
remember. It's all a blur.
I bet if I spent time in North Dakota, it probably would be a blur as well. But I
Yeah.
definitely, hey, I
Excuse me,
commend
it's
you.
west. Williston is
West.
west, and it
Okay.
borders Montana. So actually, I lived in Montana and
Oh,
worked in
okay.
North Dakota until I
Oh,
moved. Yeah, I moved to Bismarck, which is the capital, and uh, from there, a lot more people, excuse me, and a lot more folks that I was able to work with because the headquarters are in Bismarck of the station.
right, right. So basically, when you were living in Montana, you were essentially working across state lines daily.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay, okay.
But
Uh,
Montana is beautiful. I mean,
yeah,
I
tell me about
always
that.
say, I always say it's like um, you're living in a postcard because you can
Really?
see, yes, you can see the mountains, um, and you can see the snow on the mountains. It's beautiful. I've been to Bozeman, Montana for. I had a job opportunity a while back, and they flew me out to Bozeman, Montana, and there I ate
Oh, what's that taste
bison
like?
burger, delicious. Oh
Oh,
my gosh,
okay.
so good, so
Whew.
good, and yeah, better than beef,
Better than beef.
better than
Okay.
beef. So you know, I, Montana, like I said, beautiful.
Wow, they definitely so it's all true when they call it the Big Sky Country. It definitely lives up
Hmm.
to that.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, but overall, some places were just too cold. North Dakota and Montana.
Yes, it was very cold. I've lived through a severe blizzard snowstorm, and those photos that you see where the snow is packed to the door, that's
Right.
exactly what it was. And there were times when we were actually snowed into the news station, and my little
Wow.
car, God help it, could not make it down those roads. So
Wow.
it was a lot. I mean, we had to report in those conditions as well. And then with the protests, they went through that as well and stayed there. So it became sort of dangerous for some to be living in, tents and teepees there. They would have these specialized insulated teepees just to survive the winter. But, a lot
Wow.
of them are used to it. Um,
Yeah.
but it
Hmm.
was beautiful. The gathering of the different tribes. I
Hmm.
think over 200 tribes gathered together, and when one tribe entered, it would like enter the campsite. They would erect these flags, like the different flags of the
Oh,
different
really?
tribes. It was so cool. It was cool to see them there. I know it was for not a very good reason, but um, uh, not a good reason, but not a fun reason.
Yeah.
But it
Right.
was beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess seeing the native tribes like that up close must have been something because, I mean, over in North Carolina, we have a lot of tribes here, especially in the western part of the state and the Appalachian region. I've seen it up close. I've actually, when I was a younger man, and I was college age more so, I went on a missions trip with my church at the time, and we went to help fix homes for in the different tribe areas, and that was a pretty unique experience, just kind of being amongst all of that. So I can imagine just being in that situation that you were in over there really was, I would probably be safe in saying, was eye opening to many a degree for sure.
Absolutely, eye-opening is a great word. Um, so many of the incidences there that I experienced were also sometimes tense because, of course, they were fighting for their land, the land that they believed belonged to them, and it it got intense.
Really?
And yes, oh, absolutely, especially a person from the media. You were screened um, each time you went there. And a lot of times, um, the route from our station in Bismarck was, we were rerouted. So a 45-minute drive to the site was an hour and a half. So we're working to get video, footage for our CBS and CNN,
Right.
and they're calling us every time something goes down there, like a standoff or something. And they think it's like a hop, skip, and a jump from where we are, and it's an hour and a half to drive there. And sometimes I would drive alone.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and me and my equipment and a hope and a prayer,
Really?
because
You were
yes,
by yourself?
yes,
Oh my
and
gosh.
in the cold, they would do these marches, and they would gather together each day. Really, they would have some kind of plan on how they would, I guess, resist. And with one particular time, I was able to walk along and talk with and interview one of the, I guess you would call it, mothers.
Yeah.
um, and she had her sage, and she would bless everyone that walked by that was going to the meeting of the march. So it was cool. I got some cool stories out of there, and really just learned about another culture that I would not have experienced hadn't if I hadn't gone to North Dakota.
Wow. Sounds like North Dakota was really quite the experience there for
Yes.
sure. Oh boy. But
Absolutely.
were there times where you ever was worried about your safety there, or you just kind of just rolled with the punches, obviously knowing the job that you're in? Did that, I don't, it's, were you ever really concerned for your own safety and all that? You did mention a couple of tense situations there, so I mean, I personally would be my own self, but I'm just curious if there were just days where you just like, oh man, you kind of just have to pray before you go out there. Did you ever get that way once at all?
Yes, there was a time where, things were dying down actually out there, but, we were still reporting there every day. And there were times when I was the reporter, the producer, the anchor, and and the shooter uh, for that day. So I'd have to drive out there early in the morning, and then come back with all the footage, edit it all, put it together, produce our half-hour newscast, and then present it. Well, this particular day, I was going normally to get my footage and some interviews, and I drove this one specific car, and one woman, she didn't seem to be with the tribes, but she pointed me out and she said, "You're not supposed to be here." It was an intense exchange, but she said, "You're not supposed to be here. That car, I saw it followed me from wherever, Oklahoma or something." She said, "It followed me all the way here, and you're not," kind of in a violent sort of way. And they had to, um, some other folks who were seemingly actually with the tribe, they kind of pulled me inside and said, "I'm sorry." She's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
she's over the top,
Right.
because they did feel like they were being spied on, or it was a resistance camp in a lot of ways, where there were some secret things going on. For example, I had to be escorted
Mm.
throughout the camp, um, by someone that was with them as a person in the media. I had to be escorted to see inside, the different food stations, or uh, tent setups, and get actual interviews. I actually met Patrice Cullors from Black Lives Matter there. They were
Uh-huh.
there one day, and I was able to interview her. But yeah, I mean, it got intense. There were times, people were, a person died there. Once it got really cold, the governor told them to evacuate the camp, but some didn't. And a person actually was found in the river.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, so there were times that were sad, but there were beautiful moments also.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how much coalescing or collaborating did you do at all? Because you wore a lot of hats with CNN or the major news outlets. You mentioned that previously, but just wondering if that occurred a lot frequently, because I can just remember those times, for CNN
Would
being
you
there.
say, what was your question? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah. So obviously you wore a lot of hats while you were over there in North Dakota. Now, how
Mhm.
much collaborating, if at all, or how much interactions did you have with CNN in the major news, like CBS or NBC News or ABC, maybe Fox to a degree? Did you ever have any like interactions to that degree or to a large extent?
Yes, I mean, every weekend when I anchored and produced on the weekends, they would call for footage, and sometimes we had some, sometimes we didn't, because it was so far away and we were not staffed um, very well, so we had to make do with what we had. So yeah, I mean, just over the phone.
Right.
Not, they have rights to. We can share footage with them, because it was a CBS station I worked for. So CBS National and CNN, we were also partners with.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, from all of your hard work there, CB, you deserve awards. You deserve a lot of praise, recognition for that, because it seemed like you were a one woman show a lot of times. So
I was, I was, but it
I'll
was
get
fun. I mean, you do this to get into the thick of everything, to be in the middle of everything. So
Right.
and be that voice to report on, what you believe is the right angle. So it was fun. It was fun. It was something I'm proud that I was able to do.
Okay. Well, aside from that, what
Yeah.
would you say was your top or favorite assignments? Besides obviously what you endured in North Dakota, from any other station that you've been at, if you could, if that comes to mind.
I would say, I mean, to go back to North Dakota, nothing to do with the Native American,
Sure.
but I did a story there on the last, or one of the last living Buffalo soldiers.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to spend pretty much the whole day with them and just talk with them. He was 90, and talk with him about his travels and what he did as a soldier. They dedicated a monument, a horse to him. And I mean, it was just really cool to hear about him and his history, our history. And that's it. I mean, I've been able to make an
Right.
impact with some of the stories that I've told. One also in North Dakota actually was about
Okay.
a woman or a man who went missing for a few days. And so I kind of covered the search and through the woods and street by street, his family looking for her, his spouse looking for him, and come to find out it was some kind of accident, and he, I guess, crashed on his motorcycle, and they found him. But it's just stories like that that touch you, hit you, and you sort of create long-lasting relationships with these people, which are not really supposed to. You're supposed to kind of, because
Yeah.
you don't want to get your emotions involved. But I'm glad I was able to tell those stories. Yeah, a lot of impactful stories I told in North Dakota, I would say.
Sounds like North Dakota was probably either your most favorite or most what you feel fruitful location, at least professionally. Is that safe in saying?
Um, yes, from the storytelling aspect, yes. Yes, I was able to tell some awesome stories there. I think because I was able to spend time digging those stories up. When you're in the bigger markets or bigger stations, you a lot of times you're getting assigned stories, and you're getting those daily stories as well, daily assignments, quick turnarounds and stuff like that. So this in North Dakota, I was able to dig deeper into and meet a lot more people than I did in other stations.
Hmm.
It
Okay.
was fun.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Have you been back since you left North Dakota? Or probably
No,
not.
absolutely not.
It's like, hey, I did my work there, but I ain't
Yeah.
going back.
No, no, no,
Nah,
no.
I hear you. I
Um,
hear you.
I love them though, but no, I
That's
will not be
good.
back.
That's good to hear. Now, your most recent station, and you can
Yeah,
answer as much as you're
excuse me.
willing and able to. You know, this is all in favor, all to support you. So this non-judgmental zone here on Clay Scouts. But WBOCTV, based out of Salisbury, Maryland, was that your most recent station?
Yes.
Okay, and how was your time over there, from what you're willing to share or tell?
My time was fine. I learned a lot about myself as a journalist, as a woman, and figured out really what I wanted. And I got an opportunity to do a lot there. I was able to report in a helicopter. I was able to,
Oh wow.
experience Ocean City, which I had never before since I came here. So I gained a lot. I learned a lot about writing, a lot more about writing and just TV news in general. The process, the in and outs, the politics of it. There's always some kind of way that you want to strategically establish yourself, and I learned that there. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's a well-established company for sure.
Gotcha. And I seen that you had left them in the fall last November. Or was that your own decision, or was that other decisions, or just why aren't you with them anymore? Obviously, if it was a good time, if I may ask. And again, answer what you're willing and wanting to. Obviously,
Okay.
it's fair. Yeah.
That's fine. Yes, it was. It was. Yeah, I don't think I should get into it actually, but I'm no
Okay.
longer there. Um, but I had a really good time there. I didn't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think that time was important for me as a journalist. I think it was. I met a lot of people, a lot of young people. That's normally like it's a good first station for a lot of people. So
Gotcha. Now, this just going forward, do you have an ideal market or station that you're looking at that you would like to be at? Where is that? Where is that next step or that next place for you, Cynthia? And where would you like for it to be? I mean, we all have goals, aspirations, dreams, but what is the next phase of Cynthia's life look like, and where do you think that would end up being, or what would you like for it to be?
well, thank you for that question,
Sure.
and you will just have to wait and see.
Okay. Okay.
You and everyone will have to wait and see.
Okay. Is there just a dream place you would just like to be at?
A dream place for
Sure.
me.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's most important to be in a place that you feel valued. Um, but sometimes you have to check your own mental health, because
Right.
it may not be your environment. It could be what's going on within yourself and what you've maybe experienced or carried with you throughout place to place, perhaps. So I think I value I value a place that values me, and I think that's more important. Of course, most people want to move up and up and up
Right.
to different, uh, better markets, larger markets, and for me, management is not my thing, my
It's not
route.
your thing. Okay.
No, 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 no. That's not something I want to be doing as a career. Although I would like to get more into like film
Really?
and
Okay.
developing that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, just the typical places. Miami is one
Yeah.
of my dream places.
Okay. Now we're
If I
talking.
could go there, if I could go there as many times during the year, I would. Is I would go there unlimited times
Oh, okay.
during the year if I could.
Oh,
Um,
hey,
so
can't go
that'd
wrong
be
with that.
fun. That'd be fun. But really, it's about your work environment because you're spending so
Yeah.
much time in a place every single day, and sometimes more hours than you'd like to. So
Yeah.
I was just talking to my mentor about that, and we were talking about aspirations, and he said just make sure you like it there. That's important. You want to be in a place that that you can that you mesh well with. It's not. It's not really a hard thing
Wow.
to,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Hey, you got to, because at the end of the day, your mental health. Without no
Yes,
mental health, there is no wealth. That's one thing
that's
that
right.
that's one thing that my mother has always ingrained with me. So, you
Hmm.
know, you can have a real ideal sexy location or situation, but if it's really just a grind on the mind, then it's is there really a victory? So you have
Yeah.
to be where it benefits from you. I mean, I'm sure that there are plenty of local CBS affiliates or NBC or Fox affiliates down in Miami that could definitely benefit from your skills, talents, and abilities. But when you do that discovery, you got to also make sure, aside from the warm weather, the palm trees, that it's the environment's good for you.
Yes,
So I mean,
exactly.
and I definitely do think the stations down in South Florida, and I have a lot of South Florida connections. I have family there, so I actually actually kind of know the lay of the land quite well in Miami.
Okay.
But they could. I'm just saying, the local station there could benefit from Miss Cynthia Hill for sure, especially given
Oh,
all the
thank
work
you.
that
I appreciate
oh,
that.
I do my research now on football, so I've seen
Okay.
I've seen your reel. It's you're definitely legit for sure, Cynthia. And
Thank you.
yep, and I am a member of the National Association of Black Journalists as well.
Oh,
You
okay.
yourself? Are you
I,
yourself?
I am. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
I've
a
been
member
to the
myself.
conference twice, and I wanted to go this year, but we'll have to see.
Well, I'll be
Um,
there in Vegas, so
you'll be there?
I will
So,
definitely be there.
okay, so what do you do? What's your deal?
Yeah.
Because I actually, yeah.
You never asked, and well, I'll tell you now while we got the time to do
Okay.
so. So I am a public relations and marketing and political consultant based out of here in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. I've been doing that for, I would say, roughly about 10, 15 years or so. Most of my spaces have been in the political campaign industries or in the governmental spaces and such, even like government agencies like U.S. Congress, or even work with government contractors and such. So in the areas of, like I said, public relations, communications, or sales marketing, generally anywhere in those atmospheres or stratospheres. So I was born in New York, the city, and I lived in Long Island and grew up in New Jersey. Been in North Carolina on and off for 15 years. This is actually my 15th year now in North Carolina. I live in Durham, North Carolina. But in between that time, I've also have lived in Los Angeles, lived in San Francisco, and I lived in London and Paris when I was a younger boy and all. And I even lived in Orlando, Florida. And I'm a well-traveled person myself, like it sounds like you are. So I traveled half the country, definitely for sure. So I definitely love to travel a lot. And yeah, but just kind of centering it back to what I'm doing now. Yes, I work for I work for political consultant firms and such at this current time and all. And but yeah, and I have my own business doing communications, public relations, and marketing consulting. So yeah, it's a lot,
Awesome.
but yeah, that's what I simply do. But
Great.
as far as so that's basically my close tie. That basically explains my ties to NABJ for sure. But I was an aspiring journalist myself at one point. Wanted to be like you. Obviously, wanted to be an anchor, reporter, and all. Didn't
Hmm.
it didn't happen. So, but I've been an NABJ member for a long time, so I still, there's more members that are non the traditional journalism roles than they are. So I'm
Yeah.
just one of them for sure.
Awesome.
But
Okay. Well, good.
so, so the two podcast shows I have, Clay Scouts and Queensborough Conversations, which we can talk about offline, which we can do that. That's more of my in-person show and such. So this is kind of a shameless plug out there for anyone who's listening on and whatnot also. But this is kind of my way of tapping back into the journalism that I never really gotten into. So if it seems like I'm a natural, that's why, because I actually wanted to do all this at one point in my life, but I just didn't come across it, you know. But I'm also a member of the bars, the lawyers associations too, because I once wanted to be a lawyer, but never actually passed the bar. So it's, my hands and feet are everywhere. So yeah.
That's cool though. I mean, you're obviously a well-rounded person. Then you want to be exposed at least to all kinds of industries, and that's awesome. You need that.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I definitely, I've been going to every NABJ conference convention for a long time, even the virtual ones the last couple of years. So Vegas, it's a no-brainer. Plus, two, it's Vegas. Duh. I mean, for sure. I've been telling you, Vegas is like Miami. There's always, you could be, especially for the type of work that I do, business travel I do, you're gonna always find yourself in Miami or Vegas, or it's like those places that you always end up being at, especially if you do what I do, because they're always having conference, conventions, meetings, summits, whatever, and always in several places: Vegas, Dallas, Nashville, Atlanta, DC, Miami, or just nice. But Vegas and Miami are the more frequent ones. Like, you're going to always find something in Vegas, Miami. It's just like you can almost count on that. Vegas, definitely, like this. You can honestly live in Vegas as much as a business traveler, as much stuff that they have there, like every month or every week. I'm serious. I met one.
I've never been.
You've never been to Vegas?
No.
Wow, you are.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go.
But you are definitely missing out. It's a great place. I last went to Vegas last August, as a matter of fact. But that was my first time going in like several years. But I always go where it's like the weather is very intense. Like the heat is, you gotta be careful out there.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And that's the type of heat that will creep up on you and will just get you from behind. You gotta stay hydrated. It's not like the Southeast where, see, Miami, at least you be humid. You get some moisture in the air. Vegas is just dry.
I know, that's what I heard. In Arizona, same thing.
Oh, I love Arizona. Phoenix. That's the only part of Arizona I've been to. Phoenix, Tempe. I don't think I've been to Scottsdale, but I'm going out that way next year because the Super Bowl is not going to be out there. So I have friends that live out there now. So yeah, I definitely it'll be my first visit there in a decade. But Arizona's real good. For sure. I mean, it's not for everyone, but you can find gems out there if you're a nature type person.
I've heard good things.
They got good resorts out there too, like in Scottsdale, Paradise Valley. So I mean, hey, but I definitely, definitely go to NABJ this summer. I mean, for nothing else, because of the Vegas aspect. But hey, you just never know who you probably know us. You never know who you're going to come across there and whatnot. That's
right.
It's a good goal.
It definitely is. Last time I went, I volunteered, so I was able to get into basically free. I didn't need to pay for the workshops and stuff like that. Yeah. It worked out. I wasn't looking for a job at the time, so it wasn't really necessary for me to be there.
Right, I got you. So you went to Miami then? Oh, in 19. Okay, I was there. Yeah. I was there. I was. Okay. That was at that Turnberry Resort. I mean, Aventura. That wasn't technically in Miami, but hey, I ain't being petty like that.
Yeah, I went to the Ludacris film showing. Did you hear about that?
I didn't even hear about that.
Okay, there was a show. Yeah.
Oh yeah, tell me about that, because I didn't even know about it.
There was a movie, and Ludacris mom was there.
Oh,
And then the other folks who were in the movie, he wasn't there, but it was I guess, premiere. They were premiering it at NABJ. So
okay,
I went to that. What else did I do? Um, there was a workshop with Mark Lamont Hill
okay.
um, that I went to. It was about something they were launching. Um, so I went to that and got a coffee roaster, a free coffee roaster.
Hey, you can't go wrong with those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I threw it away because I couldn't take it on the plane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. But yeah, there was so much going on at that particular convention. Shoot, I mean, Ice Cube he was debuting his sports league there. That was probably the greatest NABJ event that I went to, and of course that was the last one that I went to for obvious reasons. So
Yeah.
it was just like, who knows? If you would have told me that would have been the last one I would go on to in 3 years, like, yeah, right, but oh yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
but how was COVID for you, just as a journalist and all that? Explain what that was like.
Whew. COVID was interesting for me because I actually got a job during the pandemic. So I switched from one environment to the next. Where I was previously before Salisbury, we anchors. I was anchored full time there in West Virginia, and we did not get a day off. Uh, Not a day off, but we didn't work from home. We stayed in the studio all throughout the COVID.
Even during
Yes,
lockdowns, you're the only one going out there.
I was the only one in studios,
Wow.
in studio, Monday through Friday at least. And some folks, would quarantine if they were going on vacation or something like that, and work from home that way. But any other time, I was there on the desk the entire time. As opposed to but of course, in stations, the whole sales team leaves. They work from home. It's just the journalists out there still hitting the ground. No days off.
Right. Yeah, so you never even knew what the work from home
Right.
was like. I don't
No.
know what y'all talking about. Like, what?
I never ended up working from home. I never had my, ring light and the TV set up. No, none of that. But so when I moved to Salisbury, we continued the same thing actually. The sales folks weren't there, but they made some modifications, like they have the pole with the microphone on it to interview people. You had to wear a mask. Eventually, we had to get vaccinated and all of that. I mean, no one in my family has been affected so we've been safe, which is a blessing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And where's your if you don't mind me asking, like, where's your family? You talk about your family in
Pittsburgh and
okay.
Columbus.
Gotcha. But do you have a family with you currently over in Maryland, where you currently are?
No.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, definitely, I'm glad to hear that your family made you safe. Same here on my end also. But what was the racial reckoning like? Obviously, summer 2020. What was it like just being obviously African American female journalist and all of that? I mean, did you just reporting the stories, or at least having a post on it? Was there what was that? What was going through those periods where the protests were going on? What was that like in the newsroom? From your perspective?
From my perspective, as an anchor, I didn't really get to dive much into that kind of stuff while it was happening. You mean like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor
Exactly. Yeah.
kind of stuff? Yeah. It is quite devastating for me personally. Um, just seeing the images over and over, and in the instances where nothing is done, personally, it was difficult. But because our newsroom was younger,
Right.
not only did we see it as valuable and newsworthy, it was also, I think, our journalists were more open to go cover those kind of things. More open and more eager to, because the younger generation is not. It's sort of like a fad, they're drawn to it. They are. It's popular to be involved in social justice, which is good, I think. Except for the people who post, the black squares and and are themselves abusive to, people who are less fortunate to them, or Anyway, so apart from that, and I think a lot of our journalists recognize the newsworthiness of it. It's something people want to know about. They want to know what's happening, what are we doing, and what are police agencies and sheriff's departments, what is the law doing, and they count on us to do that. So it was not something that we shied away from as a newsroom. But yeah, I mean, it meant a lot to me because my niece, she's 12, was really it was really important to her. But for my personal outlook, it's I feel helpless in those kind of situations. It's like, what do I do? I don't shout a lot of things from the rooftops when there are victories, and when there are disappointing news regarding those kind of situations. Either way, because I just want to see I'm just observing in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see how is America really going to react? How either way, what's really going to be done? Although I'm happy, when progress is made. I want to see real change, and so I observe. I keep up. Like, for example, there was this one situation. I forget where. I think in Ohio, where this woman. No, it wasn't Ohio, but there was a road rage incident where a man. It was a 17-year-old girl and a white man, got out of his car and shot the teen to death. And that hit me so hard because it's just an everyday thing. Anyone can get angry on the road, if they're cut off or whatever. But I followed that so closely, just on a personal level, because to me, justice had to be served for that little girl. Because what?
Yeah.
What kind of craziness? So those kind of things are really important to me, those stories. But as a journalist, I try to stay, you try to stay biased and make sure that you're because you're in charge, and in charge of reporting the facts and not getting really your emotions involved in that kind of thing. But I think about myself as a woman who wants to have a family, and if I have a boy,
Right.
what am I going to do? Because if I was one of those mothers, you wouldn't, I wouldn't shut up. You would hear me. Um, you would know my name
Yeah.
even more than you know my name now. You would know my name. The world would know my name. So I think about that a lot in personally.
Mm. Wow, that's definitely deep there for sure. I mean, we all have to consider that. Even I have to consider that for someone who wants, obviously, young ones one day in a family of his own. That's it's really hard to conceptualize, especially when you were once a kid yourself. Probably, or I probably had our own instances that we could probably recall, but when you bring a seed into the world, it's kind of look at it from different lenses at
Yeah.
that point. So yeah, it's a scary thought. And I don't want to say it's a scary world because we hear that quite a lot. Honestly, I've heard that my whole life. It's a scary world that we live in and such. But these times are definitely unique, for sure. Even with the politics, I mean, just being in the newsroom, obviously, you're being called fake news, or you're combating misinformation, disinformation, and the huge stark political divide. It's not as clear cut as it used to be, where you're
Yeah.
being questioned on your integrity, on how you're covering one side of political aisle or not. I'm
Yeah.
definitely sure. Am I safe? Am I correct in saying that from your side of things?
Would you say I'm sorry?
Yeah, I was asking just from your perspective, definitely, have you been on the other side of just people questioning whether or not, you're the faith, you're legitimate in covering one side of political aisle or the other? Because, you're combating misinformation, disinformation. There's a huge political divide, even with COVID and all that. So just being aside from obviously the racial reckoning part, but just with COVID and the politics
Misinformation.
the past couple of years,
Mm.
definitely from a journalist perspective has not been easy. Is that correct in saying?
I think it's more pronounced on the national level, but as a, when the January 6th thing happened at the in Washington, I was assigned to, speak to some folks that maybe went, and it was very hard
Right.
because they didn't. From my perspective, I don't think they were as open to speak to me about going um, for whatever reason. Um, you know, I haven't been. Uh, I really haven't been accused of being fake news or anything like that, though. Um, Aggressively. However, there are people that call newsrooms all the time and just shout
Mm.
off things. um, Either way, their opinion on a certain thing that maybe we showed, or that we decided to air. Either way, people have their opinions, and um, they are the people that watch us. So sometimes you do have to take that into consideration. But no, I haven't had any, sort of intense interactions with people who are like one side or the other. No.
Mm. Gotcha there. Now, just where do you draw your inspiration from this everyday still? Professionally, personally, where do you drive that from?
Personally and professionally, I draw my inspiration from my niece,
Oh, your
and wanting
niece.
to wanting to really be a good role model for her, and really kind of moving my family into a different space. Um, you know, they talk about generational curses and stuff like that. I want to, um, what is it? Not generational curse, generational wealth.
Right.
I think I'm referring to.
Right. Yeah. I get what you're
Yeah,
saying.
but I want to kind of, I think about that a lot, and that's what inspires me to keep going. Um, yeah, because I don't come from, I come from humble beginnings, and I want to be a leader in my community and within my family. So that's very important to me.
Mm.
Professionally, professionally, I draw inspiration from my previous work. Um,
Right.
I'd like to get better and better every year, every story, and make an impact somehow for the people that I'm serving. You know,
Gotcha. Cool. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years. This feels like an interview.
But it is.
Oh my God. This feels like a job interview.
Hey,
But
we're on your side here. We're all on your side. We're all rooting for you. We're all rooting for you, and I give you all your due flowers, Cynthia.
thank you.
You have a friend in me, so no
Very,
worries
very well
there.
put. Um, 3 to 5 years. I mean, I want to be doing the same thing. I want to definitely um, be further along as far as my education. I want to get my master's soon.
Cool,
I'm not
cool.
sure. I'm not sure on what yet, but um, because I can always build on my communications expertise, but I may, choose something else like economics or business or something like that, just to be uh, more um, marketable, I guess. But um, so, yeah, I mean, 5 years from now, I do want to be on the beach somewhere.
Oh, okay. Not Ocean City, Maryland, like
No, but
Walter
somewhere
Beach.
with good weather.
Right.
I do. I do. I don't have to, but I would love
Hey,
that. Um, yeah.
that's good. Hey, nothing wrong with that. And so when you went to Penn State, would you happen to go during the Sandusky, all that fiasco mess during that time period?
Yes, I was there at the tail end of it.
Oh, okay.
Um, Joe Paul had just passed,
Yes, I remember that.
and um, so I mean, yeah, it was an interesting time to be a young journalist. My first story in my first journalism class was to cover his on-campus memorial.
Mm.
So it was, you kind of get hit in the face with some heavy subjects. um, I got hit in the face with some heavy subjects early on, and uh, I guess this is the name of the game. So,
Yeah.
I mean, people who were there were way more dedicated to him as a
Oh, yeah.
leader on campus. I didn't know him. I never met him. Of course, he wasn't coach while I was there because I transferred from a satellite campus. Um, So I wasn't on like university campus very long. I was only there a year and a half until I graduated. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I was there, but as a student, I tried to distance myself from the whole subject because it was
Yeah.
weird.
Messy.
It was just weird. It was like, this is strange. And everyone had an opinion. Everyone had a strong opinion because people are dedicated. It's cult like, they are
Oh yeah.
dedicated to Penn State. And only just now, I'm really able to truly come to terms with that, the school having that as a just I don't know what to call it, but a part of their reputation, I
Yeah.
guess. Um, but I'm able to separate it because it was hard while I was there. But I'm able to separate it and be proud that I'm a Penn State alum and wear it proudly.
You're Nittany Lion forever.
Nittany Lion forever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I wanted to be a Nittany Lion. I actually did.
Hmm.
Because when I was going to Jersey, yeah, I wanted to actually play football and all that. I wanted to be
Hmm.
on the football team, be a Nittany Lion, play for Joe Pot and all that. Yeah, actually, a true story.
Hmm.
This was like way, probably a few years. Well, I am a few years older than you, if my research is correct on that. But even just from what you're describing it, but yeah, I definitely want to be a part of that whole campus. I actually was accepted to go to the Altoona campus up there in
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, but I declined it and ended up in North Carolina. That's for another story for another day. But yeah, I definitely wanted to be a part of there and study like communications, yada 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 there and all that. 'Cause they had a good program there and whatnot. And all
Yes.
my friends went there. A lot of my schoolmates went there, friends went there, because pretty much a lot of people in New Jersey had went over there, even just
Yeah.
for regular, traditional, general studies and all. And a lot of them did. A lot of them were Nittany Lions, and a lot of them loved that navy blue and white. I mean, I sure did. Those were one of my favorite colors still to this day. Listen, I mean, just in general, but I definitely like the culture, but it's definitely eerie and Black River is just creepy now. This kind of, you can't think one without the other. You can't think about all that and then think about the whole Sandusky thing. You just can't. But I mean, it is
Mm.
what it is. But the university, I think, has done, I guess, as good as they could do and kind of distance themselves from that ugly nature
Yeah.
while still recognizing that, hey, we did have a great football coach here, but there's a messy side to that also. But
Hmm.
we're moving on from that. I think that, and that's just my opinion. That's just my bird's eye view of that.
Yeah.
You might have a different opinion or take from that, but at least just from the football program and all that, they've kind of respectfully distanced themselves from all of that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, mhm,
Yeah.
sure.
And that first president, first person of color this year.
Mm.
Did you hear about that?
I did not hear about that.
No.
So, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's good. I mean, making some strides in that direction at least.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Hey, take progress wherever you can get it for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's pretty much the time that we have here tonight. I could talk to you on and on, Miss Cynthia, but I we probably got other things to do. But hey, it's all good. But just tell folks out there how they can follow you, on social media or wherever.
Sure. I'm on social media, all the socials. I'm on Instagram at this.issin. Uh, and I'm on Facebook as well. You can find me there, my Facebook page. And I'm also on TikTok. Hey, Sin for the Win on TikTok and Cynthia Hill TV on Twitter.
Cool,
Follow
cool.
me.
Well, good. You heard it there, folks. And she's about to make some big waves, and she's got a big announcement dropping soon, according to you. So we're hoping.
I didn't say
You gave me the hint. You said stay tuned, so you make it seem like it's imminent. You did.
No, I did not say that.
Okay,
I
all
said,
right. We got the flavor. But hey, I'm a man of faith, and I definitely do believe that something is coming big your way, Cynthia. But you
Thank
definitely have
you.
a friend in me here. You have this platform anytime it best serves you. And yeah, definitely, just keep on pushing, keep on staying strong. But thank you for joining Clay's Couch here tonight.
Thanks, Clay. It was a
All
pleasure.
right, you have a good evening, Miss Cynthia. Have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.